Welcome to the winner's circle. If you made it here, it means you done put in the work, dude. Congratulations. You made it way past the basics. This calls for a massive celebration. Welcome to the winner's circle. We all winning here.
Either I know my guests or I'll research them. And I'm like, I don't want to do that this time because I don't really know much about you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted to hear your story and just have like a genuine conversation.
Okay, yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, like tell me about your background and where you're from.
I'm from Philly, not Canada. A lot of people think I am from Canada because of how much time I spend here, but I am from Philly. Grew up I was born in the city. My mom, which is like segues into part of the reason I'm into the whole cooking show thing, but my mom worked her way up, kind of like I'm trying to do with my show, being a producer at the local syndicate of ABC News to then in New York City producing Good Morning Americas and shows like that. So we moved to the suburbs. And so I spent, kindergarten through middle school, the end of middle school, living in the suburbs. And then for me, it was kind of like a blow up in sports. Like 8th grade, I saved up my coins. My parents wanted me to play basketball. And you saw the Stingers video the other day. I still got the jumper. But, my dad, he was a running back. He just went into the Philly Hall of Fame, one of the top backs in the 70s, had a lot of knee injuries, and he didn't want his son to go through the same thing. So he would basketball this. My dad would drive me anywhere for a basketball workout, but not as much football. So I saved up my money, saved up my little quarters and change from doing chores, and I was going to take a bus myself to the National Underclassmen Combine. And my dad saw that dedication to go on my own as an 8th grader. I was going to take 2 buses. A lot of people watching this won't remember MapQuest, but I had the MapQuest route done, was ready to go. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's like, all right, I'll take you. I go to this camp. I get ranked in the top 100 underclassmen in the U.S. and kind of my career in playing sports took off from there. I still was being successful at basketball. So I remember I did that tryout, and then basketball started 2 weeks after. And I was playing 2 years up. A lot of people tuning in, they'll know Patrick Patterson, O.J. Mayo. So I was flying from Philly to Huntington, West Virginia, where Patrick Patterson and O.J. and them are from, in Huntington, West Virginia. I would practice one day, and then my cousin Chris, who was one of the coaches, me, him, and the rest of the guys, we would then fly out or drive out to the tournament. And so as a 14-year-old, I was traveling for sports. And so I liked it, but, football always drove me. And so I ended up going to private school. That was an investment by my parents. My dad sat me down. Like, hey, we're taking the college fund money and we're spending $32,000 a year for you to go to private school. Like, you got to get a scholarship. And so where a lot of other kids attacked school and things, like I woke up at 6 a.m. After school in high school, most kids, I'm at a tough private school. Most kids went home and studied for hours. We drove 2 hours for me to go do football workouts. So, and I still kept solid grades in my private school. My first offer was from Stanford as a sophomore in high school. So I've always had that kind of instilled in me, and, along with the community service aspect and all that stuff kind of bottles up to bring you Justin now, football player, doing my cooking show, and trying to help people in the community,
That's awesome. I guess if we go back to the school, what were you taking in school, and kind of where did you go from school into the NFL?
Okay, so that's an interesting part of my story. So I went to the University of Virginia first. A lot of my friends were going there. A lot of people I knew committed there. But things didn't work out between me and the staff. Had a new staff come in. So I actually, again, had to lean on my brains and my grades. So I actually graduated from the University of Virginia, which is the #1 public school in the States college-wise. I graduated there in 3 years so that I could go to Miami and pursue my football dream. And so I did my undergrad in sociology, and I did my master's in racial studies. And I think a big part of what helped propel me in front of NFL teams, they were like, okay, this guy's gone to 2 schools. He's gotten his grades. And then my senior year at Miami, I was our 5th leading tackler as a nose guard, and I was all academic, had a 3.8. And during that time, I also had a case where 2 teachers lied on me to trying to keep me from transferring. And I dealt with all that in stride, handled my business to, go to the league. So I think it just, honestly, it all just prepared me to kind of be in the situation now. You do 5 different things in a day, and you're like, all right, we'll wake up, we'll do it again tomorrow. So
That's awesome. Do you find it hard to execute on 5 different things instead of focusing on one thing?
I definitely, for sure. And like you could kind of see that throughout my career. I had Justin Renfrow sports going, coaching football teams, doing the community service, and doing apparel. Whereas now, I've focused it now to, boom, I'm going to do my cooking show, and I'm going to still help people through the cooking show, volunteering, and so on. So it's, I think I had to learn, that it's not possible, but it was also a learning experience. Had fun doing things I had passions about.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Life's about learning, right?
Yeah.
I'm guilty for getting easily distracted by other things, even with the company that I'm running now. Like, there's still opportunities come up, and you're like, oh, well, I could go do that, and there's this, right? But I just have to constantly be reeling myself back into
staying
what I
in
love.
your lane.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so you went from university, was it University of Virginia?
Yep.
And then you went to Miami?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us about Miami.
Miami, it was everything I dreamed of. Growing up, we all played video games. I used to create myself as a D lineman for the Miami Hurricanes that were number 4 in the country. Well, my senior year, I got to be the starting nose guard for the Miami Hurricanes, and we were number 5 in the country. And so to be able to play on College game day, my son saw me play on College game day, my dad got to see me. Like, those are things I grew up doing. So at that point, it wasn't much. Like, I always had the NFL as a goal, but, like, I could show you it's still in my favorites. Like, watching my dad and son watch me on game day, it doesn't get too much bigger than that. And so, to have those memories forever is big.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never been to a college football game.
Oh,
they look pretty rowdy.
Yeah, we'll get that done. I feel like everybody has to, just because of the spectacle they are. Like 90,000 people. Some people you got the away team, so they came from a whole nother part of the country. You got people at your college that is already made up of people from all over the country. So it's just like and people rooting for, coming together to root for their school, their team, their children. So it's always cool to see that. And it's big. 90,000 people in the stadium's a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Sometimes when I'm training, I'll put on, there's a college motivation where they come out to Metallica, Enter Sandman. Did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
okay, so you're playing college in Miami, and where did you go from there?
From there, I finished out my season, trained for the draft and combine. Didn't get an invite, but went undrafted. Had to go the hard way, and that's what a lot of people think. Like, oh, you've been in the NFL, you championships, like it was all glory. Like, nah, I got 2 sacks in the preseason as a D lineman for the Cardinals, but they had 2 Pro Bowler D linemen already there, so that didn't matter. So I actually went home after the preseason with the Cardinals, and a couple teams called, and it was weird because they kept saying, "Do you have interest to play O-line?" I'm like, I'm a D lineman. Like, I played D line my entire life. I just got sacks against guys you're starting on Sunday, like. And so, but it is what it is. So after enough teams asked about me playing O-line, I wanted the chance to play. So I watched How to Be an O-Lineman on YouTube. I watched those videos for about a week. Domingo Graham, again, talking about Instagram and doing all the social media stuff I'm doing now. I messaged Domingo Graham after meeting his cousin, and he said, I think he would help you. And I messaged him on IG. And he helped me free of charge for 2 weeks. And that's kind of how a lot of things I also have going now started, because after he trained me, he's like, I have no doubt, like, you'll make it. He was like, no matter where you go, always give back, and that will be your payment to me. And so I've done that over the last 9-10 years. I've done that, and I worked with him. I played in the XFL, the developmental league. I played 2 games, and the Packers called me. And the funny part about that tryout is the Packers didn't know I didn't play O-line before. So, like, the O-line coach is, like, spitting out drills and terminology in this tryout. And I'm looking at him like, all right. And I'm, like, nervous the whole time because I'm like, I don't want to, because I know teams have constantly been denying me because I'm an inexperienced O-line. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell this coach I don't know what he means. So literally, like, that's where I became good at watching. Like, he only showed me how to do these drills once. I didn't talk the whole time because I was intently just watching what he was asking. Didn't know what I was supposed to do, just was mimicking what he did. And the Packers signed me. And after I signed the contract to be on the team, I let them know, like, yeah, I actually never played O-line and all this. And they're like, they were in shock, but they were like, well, shit, if you never played and you did that. So it all worked out. And so kind of from there, I was a O-line D lineman in the NFL. I got traded a couple weeks later to the Seahawks, where they were like, "You're gonna play O-line for us." And luckily enough, I didn't. We that was obviously a good year, and so got to go to the Super Bowl. We're the famous team that threw it on the 1 yard line, so that sucks. But we still are NFC champions. We were the best team in the NFC that year. We went to the Super Bowl. I got to, again, in a 2-year span, live out 2 childhood dreams. 2 years. So my dad, I have a picture of him outside the Super Bowl. 2 years before that, I had a coach tell me I would never play pro football. And so, for all that to happen, it's kind of crazy. And then you look now, I had some injuries and went from the Seahawks to the 49ers to the Cowboys to the Bills, and then about to get my big break. I'm going with the ones for the Bills. This is my second year at O-line. I've made all this headway. Final preseason game, I'm going with the ones. LaShawn McCoy falls on my foot, tear everything in my foot, and that's kind of it for Justin Renfrow being an NFL player. One quick play. And, and I always you always second guess in days. I was like, man, if I just would have position blocked, but I wanted to be a starter that year. I didn't just want to be signed to the team. And so I was going hard that game. I drove my guy 15 yards down the field. And a 15-yard run for the running back's great. And so he got that and got tackled onto me. And so that is it's all she wrote. But everything happens for a reason. 2 days before I got hurt, I talked to my friend Mylan Hicks, and he was playing for Calgary at the time. And, I was like, man, I'm about to make this team. They're telling me all this stuff. And I was like, we got our first week off. I was like, the first week after training camp, we're off. I'm like, I'm coming to Canada to see you. Me and Mylan were roommates in San Fran. And so I got hurt that 2 days later, and then he got shot in Calgary that 2 days later. And so for both of us, for him, his life was over, but for me, I was rock bottom. And so for 4 months, I battled this injury. I'm supposed to come back right away. Bills are supposed to pick me up. I couldn't even get back to running, and that was tough. I'm like, yo, I'm supposed to be out there with the Bills. I couldn't even run and cut. And so, I thought it was done. I think I was 390 almost. And Calgary Stampeders called me, and they're like, hey, you still playing football? We'd like to bring you up. We saw you when you used to play for the Niners. We've had you on our neg list. And so I was like, damn, Mylan's team's calling me. I gotta go. Like, and so I was, like I told you, I was 390. So I remember for 3 weeks I just didn't eat to get to 350 to be able to just be in front of them. I faked like a hamstring pull, said I couldn't work out. So they're like, well, we know he could play, come to camp. So I knew I had to be like 3:30, but I got to camp. I was eating like a salad a day and running and just trying to get going. And honestly, it was like the day before the camp, and I was just like, bro, I'm tired of starving, all this. And I remember I just went and ate like Olive Garden, all you could eat salad. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I've been starving myself. Like, I'm almost passing out every day. And I was like, I won't be able to perform at this camp if I'm passing out. So I ate. I went in there. I was like 10 pounds heavier than the goal weight, but I went and dominated the camp. Like, didn't matter what weight I was. Clearly nobody was getting past me. Like, I knew what I had to do. I've been playing football. I knew what I had to do. So I got it done, and it was funny. Like, couple buddies from Miami, they actually lived where the camp was. So after I had a good week of camp, I knew I was going up there. I finally called my 2 buddies and like said, yo, I'm like 10 minutes. And I remember we went out, and that was kind of like, for me, like, I felt like, yeah, I'm back in it. Like, but I still had weight to lose and stuff. So we got to Calgary, and, I was worried. I had lost the weight, but I had just been doing like grind yourself workouts, like straight up just lifting weights, running yourself into the dirt. And so I was like, I don't know what type of football at that. Lo and behold, I get to Calgary, first day of practice. Like, we do rookie minicamp. I feel good. And I'm like, all right, we'll see what they think of me. Shoot, first day of practice in Calgary, I was the starting left guard for Calgary, and I was playing guard, which, if you know about CFL, they don't usually put an American there. So that was already unusual. So a lot of people were like, they must like you, da-da-da-da. And so after that training camp, made the team. I ended up on the practice roster, but I think the 4th game, I made my debut on Labor Day playing against Edmonton, and I had a real good game. A lot of people thought I had been playing O-line my whole life. Not many people know that was my first actual start at O-line, and I dominated 2 CFL All-Stars that year. So that pretty much propelled me to have a CFL career. And so, rest is history from there.
That's crazy. You went through like a lot of trials and tribulations throughout your career.
Yeah.
What was it like? I got to ask, like, what was it like even just being a part of the Super Bowl? The experience.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, you're at the Super Bowl, so it's all the lights and cameras you could possibly imagine. Like, my grandma, her favorite show is Entertainment Tonight. I was on Entertainment Tonight with Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child singing. So, like, doing a lot of things like you don't expect. Like, you got to remember, like, I was 2 years before that, like, coaches were trying to keep me off the football field. Like, it was like a lot to get there. So, like, I think I felt a lot of that, and I enjoyed that. Like, that was the first time I think in that 3 years, because I had to take 22 credits to leave Virginia. Then I had to fight a case. I was allowed to continue school at Miami because the lawyers were able to already show the school the teachers had lied on me. So I was allowed to transfer. They knew it just had to be the tape, dotting the I's and the T's in the actual court. So that's why I was allowed to continue to play. But, a test and that's the thing, like, I had to learn how to go over things, because this is a backstory on this test. No matter what, I was in this Slavic class. No matter what, I was getting a C. So I didn't study. If I got an A, I was getting a C. If I got an F, I was getting a C. I didn't study. The teacher brought me up for cheating because my answers were vague. My answers were vague because you only got the 2 hours before your class that I studied. I studied for the statistics test that I'd been trying to pass for 2 semesters the whole weekend, not yours. But, I think a lot of it had other back tones behind it, but that was what was brought up. So, and like at the first, it was like a shock because I was worried Miami wasn't going to take me. But once the stuff I knew Miami was going to take me and I could play, I was like, bro, this is just another attack that you just got to go because you going the right way. And so the day after the case was gone, I had my biggest game. I had 12 tackles, a forced fumble, and it was just like, I get to play football and go to school now. I have nothing else to worry about. I got a 3.8 that year. Like, it's just easy to do, live life again. So it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. As far as the training goes, like, what has the training been like your whole life?
I've been blessed. I've had like high levels. So test sports, like where I was commuting even from high school, I used to drive 2 hours to go there from high school, even from my house in the off seasons now, like when I'm home, it's still an hour and a half from my house. And so they're considered like top 3 training facilities in the world for football prep and combine prep. And so I got a scholarship to go there after being ranked in the top 100, and they've stuck with me transferring schools. When I was first getting mistreated at Virginia, they were vouching for me to other places and coaches, and also letting other coaches like see me and be like, yo, this, like, whatever you're hearing, that's not this kid. Like, he's been coming here. And, that and them believing in me when I had nowhere to train, like that period going to Virginia and Miami, I had to get back in shape to report to Miami. But usually you have a summer at your college with a strength coach. Well, Tess stepped in there for me, and they even let me come down to Florida for a part of it so I could still be able to take classes, and they had set up a whole thing in Florida. So, that training, and then I've come up here to Canada, and I think I've found with Brad and Eats, I think I've probably found some of the best training in Canada. Him being FRC certified, like that's done night and day difference for me coming off back-to-back years with knee injuries, and just being able to move around here and jogging, going back up steps. Like anybody, you could go look through my cooking show and you can see how my walking into places has gone kind of from a waddle to now I walk straight ahead and walk. So, I think one thing is sticking with people who invest in you is a big thing. And 2, I have been blessed to have some of the best trainers who incorporate, mobility. I think that's something. I went from college just getting beat down in lifts to now, like, I'll go to Brad, we do 30 minutes of mobility before and after, and then I still do have my hour lift. So in those 2 hours I spend there, half of it is mobility and strength prep, and what he always says to me is being strong in my weak areas. So
that's huge. I even noticed while you're here back in our gym, like you guys were doing mobility work right off the start, which is a lot of people don't do. They just jump right into the workout, or even post workout they're not stretching. I was guilty for this for a long time, right? But that's key to keeping those injuries away and having a long career.
You're totally right. I think that's something I was guilty of. I've always been the guy that could just hop up and run. And then I've had these 2 injuries, and then all of a sudden, like, I got to warm it up. I got to, and so now I'm a full believer. Like, the FRC workout that y'all saw part of, we just did the upper body part. We didn't do the lower body part. But what you saw, I do that every day, getting out of bed and before we start working out. And it's night and day difference for me because I tore everything above my elbow, and it's night and day difference in my arm just from doing that. So it's definitely good.
Have you ever used, like, was diet always a big part of your training, or like, I mean, I know what it's like to be young and just your body's just burning everything you're putting into it. So
so diet, like you said, young all the way up to college, not a big thing. As soon as I started like NFL prep, combine prep, that's when I got into meal prep. Like at Tess Sports Club, we had a meal prep, counting our macros, had shakes. And from experiencing it there, I'm always like, at least during football season, I'm going to stick to that, try to be somewhat healthy. Obviously, it's getting hard now with the cooking show, but prior to that, like you can look, I've had a lot of different sponsors in the different cities I've gone in, and I feel like I've always, being able to cook, I always thought it was like important because I'm like, I know what time goes into making it. So I'm like, boom, I know it needs to be healthy, but I also want solid food. So I feel like that's what's helped me. I can pick out solid food. So I've always had good meal prep options. Other people just like, oh, there's a meal prep guy, I'm going to take that. And then 2 weeks later, they're back eating McDonald's. Well, yeah, you just picked the first guy you saw. That's why you're there. So yeah.
That's why you got us now. I mean, the cooking show is great, but to me, that's totally fine. Like, life's about balance. I try to follow the 80-20 rule. Like, I eat super clean all day at work. Yeah. If I go home and veg out a little bit, I don't feel bad for it. Yeah. Right? Because life's about balance.
And that's what's helped me with meeting you guys. Like, last week's a great example. You eat a solid beef brisket bowl, during the day. And then when I go at night and have to go to like a barbecue place, or I went to P.F. Chang's last week, you don't feel bad. Okay, I ate a lot more than I usually would, but hey, I ate clean. I know I'm going to eat clean again tomorrow for both meals. So for me, it's a little ease of mind. And then two, the big difference is the workout. I notice it in the workouts with how you're fueled. Like eating crappy all day the day before versus just one meal, and then you go into your lift, you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
Well, I'm definitely going to work with you on that because I know for me, like, even just the mental clarity, the energy, everything from eating clean. I just did 40. I was doing the 75 hard challenge. I made it 47 days. Okay. No sugar for 47 days.
I need to do that. Gummy bears are killing me.
I felt amazing. Like, best I'd ever felt in a long time. And, I'm like, is this what we're normally supposed to feel like? Because we're always so, like, drugged down by the food we're eating all the time, like fast food. And I don't feel like people feel how we're really supposed to feel. And I can tell you 47 days of no sugar, like I was riding life up here.
Yeah. And you're definitely right. I did a retreat with Wakewell out of Toronto. ESPN followed us through Jamaica, and there was no sugar, and we also didn't have any beef, that was like really weird for me. But I came back home and I tried to follow the no sugar, and like, so I've stopped the like Gatorade. I haven't had Gatorade in about like a month and a half or so. And I'm like starting to notice, like, man, like you feel better. My joints don't hurt as much. And two, like being like thirsty again is way less with just continuous water going in you. So
yeah,
you definitely own something with the no sugar.
Maybe we'll get you on the 75 hard challenge.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try.
I still haven't made it yet.
Yeah,
I still haven't made it. It's a tough challenge. Have you ever heard of that one?
No, I haven't. Yes. I probably haven't heard of it because nobody's going to offer up me not eating sugar.
Just not in your realm of possibilities.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, so from Calgary you came to Edmonton, right?
Well, I had to stop for a year in BC.
Okay.
Well, just a half a year, actually. I got traded there from Calgary to BC and then signed that next off season here. Yeah.
Awesome. And how do you find Edmonton?
I like Edmonton. So a lot of people were like shocked to see like season's done, football's done right now. I'm going to be here. And then the amount that I'm here, like COVID, I was here for the first part and like before the season, people were saying it's going to cancel. I still got my roots set, made sure to meet people because I was like going to be around here. And then, I think being here last year, a lot of people took to me doing the cooking show through COVID and showing people takeout places to go. But also, like, I would show people like throughout the show, like, hey, like, everybody on this show did take a test. Everybody on this show, like, is staying masked up till we eat. Like, I'm proud to say, like, nobody who was on What's Cooking JR last year had a COVID issue.
Yeah.
And so, like, I took that part And then also, though, people saw, though, that I was a real person. Like, I got fined for interacting with the kids that I used to coach in Calgary. Like, I coached them as 8th graders. They're now all in high school. Like, this is the first, we haven't been able to see each other for 3 years of COVID. Like, I took that fine for giving them hugs and giving them gloves after a game. So
then they fined you?
Yeah, the CFL.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Coach Jamie paid it for me. Like, Jamie Elizondo, he's another good guy.
That's awesome.
He paid it for me. But, it's just things like that. I think people, we were having a good year to start, but it was rough towards the end. So I think a lot of people saw that, just the kind of thankfulness for the fans and interaction. And so, I was retired this year and coming out of retirement and all that stuff and coming back to train. I think it's been fun, playing with new guys, playing with the new staff. Coach Ty was here earlier, meeting guys. The staff is mostly combined the coaches that coached me in BC, added with some new guys. Coach Ty is one of those new guys. I think he's got a good future in the CFL. He definitely knows what he's doing from the strength and conditioning side of things, and he was also helping trying to get healthy meals. I wish we knew about you guys earlier, because we were struggling in season to kind of get a good, like, not trying to badmouth anybody, but what we were getting, they were giving us their leftovers. I'm in the kitchen all the time. I know what that looks like, and so it, to see somebody, though, trying to make that extra effort to get us food. Not every team gets you food, especially not a meal prep, something that's supposed to be going into your body. So, there's a lot of people say, oh, the Elks did bad this year, da-da-da-da. I mean, it takes time to build a franchise. You can't have a new coach every year and expect the franchise to be built. Like, I know personally I've had 3 playbooks since I've been signed here. Not one of them the same. And, so that's that. And I've dealt with my injuries, COVID, had some deaths in the family too that took me away from football. So I'm just happy to be in Edmonton this year. Won't have to have a surgery, and won't have to deal with kind of the grief that was going on last off season. So I'm excited to be here for off season where we're allowed to be outside, and I'll get to experience a true Canada winter. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
I'm looking forward to it. Gonna be ice fishing, Brody over there. Get ready. We're gonna freeze our butts off ice fishing. I want to experience that stuff. For me, it's all like, that's what I have cherished about my career. I've been in 12 cities and I've liked all of them. And you get to meet people, you get to appreciate the things. Like, yeah, this isn't the biggest club scene, but there's still tons of stuff to do, and I have a lot of fun. There's a lot of great things to do in Edmonton and a lot of great people, and I've been having fun meeting the people and the faces behind Edmonton.
Yeah, well, I absolutely love what you're doing with the show. Everything's like so awesome to be promoting businesses, and just helping other people. Like you said, I know you said that guy wanted you to give back. Yeah. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're going to all these businesses and helping promote, and like, you don't see that a lot with a lot of the athletes that in the city, just getting out there and helping small businesses. Yeah, and that was I forget. I think it was Charleston Hughes. Me and him were really close in Calgary, and that was like one of the things he said to me. He's like, they like you here, you gonna make the team. And he's like, if you embrace it around here, like, if you embrace it, like, people will embrace you. And I think that's been part of me too, though, like, trying to understand what is Canadian food, what are different Canadian cultures, going to hockey games, things like that, like, just having fun, experiencing a new way of life. And then also too, like, we do highlight the chain restaurants, but also like tonight I'll go to a barbecue place that's mom and pop. I went to the Leduc coffee shop and made the orange cream cinnamon buns with them. That's a family and small town Leduc that is just making homemade food and has the whole town coming through for it. So, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been fun, and that's also another part too.
getting into all these little nooks and crannies of Canada. You know, I've been to High Prairie, I've been to Pinchers Creek. So, you know, it's meeting all these different parts of Alberta will be fun this off season, and hope to keep it going.
That's awesome. So what's the plan for 2023?
2023 will be here in Edmonton, cooking with restaurants and training, and then see where football takes me. Hoping to sign back somewhere. You know, it'll be my first healthy year in a while. So you know, I was able to get contracts unhealthy, so hoping to get a shot while I'm healthy right now, and we'll see how it all plays out.
For sure. Well, we're gonna help you with that with diet, and I mean, sounds like you got the training dialed in. So I'd like to push for a workout, me and you.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Shoot, I'm down. I'm down. I always can use extra workout. So
that was perfect. Thanks, young Jamie.
Yeah. So definitely workouts, and we'll bring some of the other guys that are in town. I know 2 or 3 other guys are staying around this off season with me, so it'll be cool.
Sweet. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd love to get them in here for a podcast too. And I mean, if you guys ever want,
gotta get Coney in here.
All right.
Yeah,
you can help me line those up.
Yeah, he's you know, another guy, had a successful NFL career, Super Bowl MVP and stuff. So yeah, he's a good guy. He's doing well out here in Edmonton too, playing well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I got 2 things. So lastly, I like to tell everybody where they can find you. Okay. And then for my very last one, I always get all of our guests to leave their favorite quote. So,
okay. I have to.
So, where can everybody find you?
So you can find me, Jay, on Instagram. There's a few. You can find me at j.renfrow. So that's J.RENFROW. And then you could also find all the food at the JR Network, so that's at the JR and then network, and then YouTube /JR Network, and then from there you should be able to find everything.
What would you say when you do you have a quote that like pops up in your head that you think about?
I don't know if it's a quote,
or just a saying or something that's stuck with you for a long time.
I guess one, and I have it tattooed on me, and it's from the movie Fury, and I got it kind of after meeting Domingo, and it says, "And I heard the voice of the Lord say, 'Who will go for us, and who shall I send?'" And the reply is, "Look no further, here I am." And so I think that's kind of me. I try to help pretty much everybody. I feel like I've been able to follow a lot of my dreams and do them with and without support. And that's a big thing. A lot of the reason I go to a lot of schools is I had a lot of people knocking me while I was trying to make my dream in college. And so I try to be that voice that tells them to go and do it, and you can be whatever you want as long as you work. And so try to go around and spread the love to everybody.
Well, absolutely love that. Yeah. And I want to thank you for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute blast, and I'm definitely going to have you back if you want to be back. So
yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome.
I love being around here. So
okay,
I'm
I
happy
appreciate
to
it.
that.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Welcome to the winner's circle. If you made it here, it means you done put in the work, dude. Congratulations. You made it way past the basics. This goes for a massive celebration. Welcome to the winner's circle.